Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode for the duration of today's webinar. Today's webinar is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now, I'd like to turn the call over to your host, Crystal Jimerson. Crystal, you may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on using county business patterns and non-employer statistics to make informed business decisions. My name is Crystal Jimerson, and I'm a training specialist here at the U.S. Census Bureau. I want to thank you for joining us today for the Exploring the Diversity of Census Bureau Data webinar series. This new series, created by the Census Academy team here at the Census Bureau, is meant to assist the novice to intermediate data user. These webinars are a great opportunity for you to learn from our experts about how to access the Census Bureau data, tools, and resources. If you wish to follow along, take a moment now to open an additional browser. You can register for any of the webinars by visiting census.gov/academy. Before I introduce today's speaker, let's go over a few important housekeeping rules. As mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. For your convenience, it will be uploaded to our Census Academy site with all supplemental materials relating to the webinar within 30 business days. We welcome written questions during the webinar. Please submit your written questions using the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom center or the right side of your WebEx screen. Please take a moment to locate that now. Once you've found the Q&A panel, make sure you choose All Panelists from the drop-down menu. This will ensure we see your question. Also, we ask that you do not include any personal or business identifiable information with your questions. We suggest keeping the chat panel open, as we will provide key links and other resources throughout the webinar. Keep in mind, you won't be able to respond to the chat. That is for us to send out links and other resources related to the presentation. My colleagues will be monitoring the Q&A panel. As time allows, we will answer your questions directly through the Q&A panel, or we will share your question with the presenter to respond to during the webinar. If we do not get to all the questions with the response during the webinar, we will post the questions and responses with the webinar materials on the census.gov/academy site within 30 business days. As you know, we are in a virtual environment and sometimes technical difficulties might occur. If you are having issues, try a different browser such as Chrome, or consider logging out and coming back into the session. If you are having audio issues, try selecting the computer audio or calling into the webinar via phone. Now, I would like to introduce our speakers, Ileana and Kaylin. Thanks again for being here today. Ileana, you may begin.
Well, thank you, Crystal, and welcome everyone to our Explore Data series. Today's topic is exploring non-employer statistics and county business patterns. My name is Ileana Serrano, and I am a data dissemination specialist. I have been with the Bureau for over 30 years, and now I am providing data support to Illinois and Indiana. I do work with a variety of internal and external customers, providing them support and training, and also the same to anyone who is interested in learning about our census data, our many data tools, and also our programs. I am available to assist in your census data experience, either in person or virtually.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kaylin Penny. I am a survey statistician with the U.S. Census Bureau, and I work on county business patterns and non-employer statistics. I've been with the Census Bureau for just about a year. Actually, it'll be a year next month. Before I joined the census, I worked on the Consumer Price Index as a field economist with the Bureau of Labor Statistics for 4 years. But here at the Census, I'm part of the Business Statistics branch, and along with my colleagues, I work to review and prepare economic data for release. And as soon as they're released, we start planning and working towards next year's release. Okay. So the Census Bureau has a wide array of data products, and in this presentation, we'll be focusing on two of these, non-employer statistics and county business patterns. We'll cover both in more detail later on, but just to give a quick overview, Non-Employer Statistics, or NES, is an annual series that provides subnational economic data for U.S. businesses with no paid employees. This series includes the number of establishments and total receipts by industry. County Business Patterns, or CBP, is also an annual series that provides subnational economic data, however, for establishments with paid employees. And this series includes the number of establishments, employment during the week of March 12th, first quarter payroll, and annual payroll by industry and employment size.
Okay, so NES, or non-employer statistics, and county business patterns, or CBP, are sources of business data that can help individuals make informed decisions on looking at business growth or exploring expansion. The two data sources are what our protagonist will explore in today's webinar. So let's meet her now. Okay, so this is Alicia. Alicia has been a yoga instructor in Boise, Idaho for several years, specializing in a variety of fitness disciplines, but with a deep personal passion for yoga. Through private training sessions, outdoor groups, classes, and a social media presence, she has built a reputable name for her non-employer business. But how can Alicia use Census Bureau data to explore growth in her current venture? And better yet, can she use the data available to decide if there is potential for expansion? Okay. So Alicia decides to look at business trends and revenue data to determine market growth potential and or market saturation. Before accessing data to help her make informed business decisions, Alicia will need to know the North American Industry Classification Code, or the NAICS, for her business and her potential new business. But then again, what is NAICS? And is there an easy way for Alicia to locate her codes?
Okay, before we see how Alicia can find her NAICS code, let's take a step back and talk about the North American Industry Classification System, in case anyone is unfamiliar or needs a refresher. So this system was created by US, Mexican, and Canadian statistical agencies to provide a standardized way to classify establishments based on their primary business activity. This system was designed for statistical purposes to help with collection and analysis of economic data, but it's also useful for businesses to compare themselves to similar businesses. All right, so NAICS uses a 6-digit coding system to identify industries and their placement within the classification system, which has 5 levels of detail. The first 2 digits designate the sector, which is the broadest category of economic activity. Each additional digit defines a narrower range of activities. So within a sector, there are different subsectors, and within those, there are different industry groups and so on, until you get 6 digits, which designates the US industry, the most specific level of economic activity. In the example on the right, you can see how you would get from Sector 51 information down to the US industry radio stations. Obviously, the economy is constantly changing and evolving. So to keep things up to date, the system is updated or revised every 5 years, most recently in 2022. Okay, so with that, let's see how Alicia can find the NAICS code that applies to her business.
Okay, so we are going to join Alicia in this exploratory journey, and we're going to look at the NAICS page and also the NAICS locator tool. And she will need to use these to find both of the codes that she's going to use to look at business data. So on the main page of census.gov on the upper right-hand side, you'll see a link that states NAICS codes. And for this example, we are going to be using the 2017 NAICS text box because that is the NAICS vintage that matches the most recently published tax year data on the non-employer data product. So this is your page where you can, or Alicia can find anything and everything on NAICS codes, the definitions, the examples, the classifications, everything. So what we're going to do, or Alicia is going to do, is on the left-hand side, use the 2017 search engine. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can look at codes because the wording is very specific. It's very important. So Alicia is a yoga instructor. Okay, she provides training and she provides classes. How can she find what her NAICS code is, the best descriptor? One way you can do that is she will use the word trainer. Okay, let's see what shows up under trainer. Okay, you're looking at racehorse trainer and sports trainer. That doesn't look like a good fit. But as she is an instructor, this code more aligns with her everyday activities. However, right now, if she needs to further explore the definition or the universe of that code, she can click on these specific codes and it will bring up a plethora of information on that particular code. The 611519 is her non-employer industry number, and the definition of that is for establishments primarily engaged in offering job or career, vocational or technical courses. Okay, and under the examples, you can find different sources, associated sources for that particular code. As we scroll down, you find also other associated codes that fall within that 6-digit. Okay, and down towards the bottom, you see yoga instructor training. Okay, now another way you can approach this is she's very specific in yoga. So let's type in yoga and see what it shows up. Again, we have similar, but then you also have this 611699. And if you open that one up, you're going to see that this is for establishments primarily engaged in offering instruction. Okay, so Alicia has to look at those two codes and decide what is it that I do, what is it I'm going to be doing in order to get the right 6-digit number for her data exploration. And this is all, again, on the NAICS page where you can find anything and everything, look at the FAQs, and it will help you guide you through finding your correct NAICS code, be it for your non-employer. And for this one she is also thinking of expanding. So we're going to look at yoga studio. And under that category, nothing shows up. So what else can Alicia do? She can try other terms, other words. So let's look at fitness. Okay, so now we have the same code, 2 different titles, if you will. But once you click on there, in one of those links, you will find that that particular NAICS is for establishments primarily engaged in operating fitness and recreational sports, featuring exercise and other active physical fitness and conditioning, so on and so forth. So this is how you would expand your search using different terms to see which code best fits the industry that you are in, depending on your everyday activities. And here we have down at the bottom, the fitness centers, which would correspond with her yoga studio. Okay, Nick? All right, so once Alicia knows, okay, her code, she can further explore the different data that is available at different levels. But first, let's talk a little bit more about what non-employer statistics is.
Okay, so non-employer statistics, or NES, provides annual statistics for businesses with no paid employees at different industry and geographic levels. Most non-employers are self-employed individuals operating unincorporated businesses, or they may be contractors like Uber drivers. And actually, the majority of all business establishments in the US are non-employers. Because they tend to be quite small, they're often excluded from other census business statistics. So NES is a key source of information on small businesses. There are many uses for NES data. The Bureau of Economic Analysis uses the data to help calculate the total GDP for all US businesses. State and local governments use the data to assess business changes, develop fiscal policies, and plan for future policies and programs. Researchers use the data to study trends in businesses over time, especially for the gig economy. And current or prospective business owners use the data to research market potential. Okay, so NES was established in 1997, prior to which NES data was published as part of the economic census, which is conducted every 5 years. There are about 470 industries covered by NES, with some notable exclusions like crop and animal production, investments, funds, trusts, and other financial vehicles, private households, public administration, and some others. Data on these non-employer businesses comes from tax returns, which are provided by the IRS. Okay, but let's see what data is available for NES. So the main data variables are the number of non-employer businesses and total receipts. And this data is available at different geography levels, including US, state, county, metropolitan statistical area, and combined statistical area. Data is also available by legal form of organization at the US and state level, and by receipt size class at the US level. An important note about the data is that there are several measures taken to protect confidentiality. So a small random noise multiplier is applied to receipts, and beginning in 2018, data is only published if a cell contains 3 or more establishments to avoid disclosing information on a specific business. Okay, so as I've mentioned, data is released annually. 2021 NES data was released on March 14th of this year. Because we rely on information from the IRS, and during the pandemic they extended filing deadlines, there was a delay in getting records, which led to a delay in publishing, but we're working to catch up, and 2022 NES data should be released before the end of the calendar year. Also, I should mention that NES data uses the most recent NAICS as of that reference year. So even though it was released in 2024, 2021 NES uses 2017 NAICS, and 2022 NES will use the 2022 NAICS. Okay, you can find NES data on data.census.gov, as well as through the NES webpage. And the Census Bureau has a number of additional data tools which include NES data, like QuickFacts, the API, Census Business Builder, and My Community Explorer. There's also a data visualization tool that lets you search through NES data on a map, which makes it easy to quickly compare states or counties within a state. Okay, and finally, for a more complete picture of the economy, we also publish a combined report which combines NES and CBP data into one dataset. The 2021 combined report was released on March 28th of this year. Okay, and with that out of the way, let's see how Alicia can find NES data on data.census.gov.
Okay, so we are back at our NAICS page, And what we will do to get to the tool is just use the back arrow on the left-hand side and use it one more time to get to the main page. Okay, so from here, what you will do, or what Alicia will do, is come to the Data and Maps tab, and on the left-hand side, click on the Explore Data on data.census.gov. This will take her to the tool, and she knows the survey or the program that she wants data for, and that's NES. She has her NAICS code, and she also has her geography because she's going to start with the area that she is currently in, and that's Boise, Idaho. So with that, we can go to the advanced search link. And on the left-hand side where the filters are, scroll down to the survey area and find the economic surveys topic. Click on that and then come over to the non-employer statistics. Once her program is in the filters, we can go down to the codes, and she's going to look for her NAICS codes. And we don't want the final selections or all of the NAICS codes available. We want that particular 61 at the 2-digit. And then go to the 611. And the final selection would be that checkbox. So now she is locked in to her program and her NAICS code. Now she can select her geography. She's going to be looking at county level firstly. So we will select county and then come down and select Idaho. And then right at the top, she's going to look at all the counties available. So that way she can look at the data across the counties to make a good decision. Once that's all locked in, on the left-hand side, click on search. I should say right-hand side, lower, and the tool immediately starts to bring back results for you. She's going to have 10 tables that she has the option to look through, and they are all the way through 2012. So we're going to look and start with Alicia at the first one, which is the 2021 version. To get a better view of the table, we're going to minimize all of these panels. And here we have the data table. There are 44 counties going up and down if she scrolls to look through. That's a lot of data to look through. Across, going left to right, she is going to look at number of employers and the sales and value of shipments. So how can she start working through this data? Well, she can sort it or filter it by clicking on the topic in terms of the sales column. She can sort it top down or down up, okay, in that ranking. So this is the most that you can see here at the top, number of employers. Of course, it's in Ada County, Idaho, where Boise sits. So she can look through this and scroll up and down and look at all of the individual datas. Now, sometimes that can hurt your eye. So if you want to, if she wants to have a visual of where all of this sits, she can use the map icon. And it'll give her a sense of where the distance lie in these counties that are showing up that high data value for her. All right. So she has an idea, and if she's interested in any of these, she can select to look at the profiles, okay, to get some idea of what's going on in that county. But she's going to want to print it, so she will go back to her table. And on the right-hand side, click the full table. And to print this so she can build her spreadsheet, she can use the Excel icon. Click on that. It will bring up your notification that the download is complete. You pop it open, and the first thing you see are your table notes. And then on the left-hand side, if you click on the data tab, you have the data table, okay? Going top to bottom, it retained the sorting feature that she had activated. So now she has a spreadsheet that she can manipulate any which way and also build upon. And that you can save anywhere that you would like. So on to the next.
Okay. In addition to accessing non-employer data through data.census.gov, Alicia can also use the interactive NES data visualization tool that I mentioned before, where she can view state and county data for her non-employer NAICS code. While it has less functionality than the mapping tool on data.census.gov, this tool has an easy-to-use interface and can be a good place to start when looking into NES data. You can view the national map or select a state, and you can select the level of NAICS detail that you want and the data variable that you're interested in. Hovering over the county will bring up detailed information. Okay, and now let's return to Alicia as she decides her next steps.
Okay, so recognizing the growing interest in yoga, Alicia sees an opportunity to expand her business by opening up a studio and hiring additional instructors. But where would be the best place to grow her employer business? And how does she narrow her choices? This is what we're going to explore next. So Alicia decides to research fitness yoga studio employer business data in Idaho to identify the counties with the best opportunity for growth and expansion. Okay, but with that, let's talk a little bit about county business patterns.
Okay. County Business Patterns, or CBP, provides annual statistics for businesses with paid employees in the U.S. and territories at different geographic and industry levels. This data is especially useful for studying economic activity of small areas. Federal agencies use the data to determine employee concentration and trends by industry. Private businesses can use the data for things like analyzing market potential, measuring the effectiveness of sales or advertising programs, setting sales quotas, and developing budgets. State and local governments use the data to assess business changes, develop fiscal policies, and plan for future policies and programs. CBP was first published in 1946 and began publishing annually in 1964. In 1999, we also began releasing data way down at the zip code level. CBP covers about 1,000 industries, with some exceptions like crop and animal production, different funds, trusts and agency accounts, offices of notaries, private households, and public administration, as well as establishments reporting government employees, so local, state, and federal agencies, as well as public schools and universities. Like NES, data is primarily obtained from administrative records from the IRS. However, with CBP, we can use information from the economic census as well as other surveys to supplement. So what data variables are available for CBP? Like NES, we have the number of establishments, but with CBP, we also have employment, specifically during the week of March 12th, first quarter payroll, and annual payroll. This data is available by legal form of organization at the US and state level and by employment size class. CBP is a bit more geographically detailed than NES. Data is available at the US, state, and county level, as well as metropolitan statistical area and combined statistical area, and by congressional district and zip code. Data is also available for Puerto Rico and the island areas at the state and county equivalent levels. And again, in order to protect confidentiality, a random noise multiplier is applied to employment and first quarter and annual payroll. Also, data is only published if a cell contains 3 or more establishments to avoid disclosing information on a specific business. Typically, data are released 16 months after the end of a reference year. 2021 data were released in April of last year, with zip code data following a month later. 2022 CBP is expected to be released in June of this year. There are many places to find CBP data. The CBP visualization tool is an easy way to view the data, especially if you just want to quickly compare states or counties. But the data is also available through data.census.gov, QuickFacts, Census Business Builder, My Congressional District, My Community Explorer, and on the County Business Patterns page on the Census website. And the County Business Patterns page also has a methodology section where you can find much more information about industry and geographic classification, reliability and comparability of the data, information on noise infusion and suppression, and other technical information. Okay. And now let's get back to Alicia to see what CBP data she can find.
Okay, so going from an independent contractor or a non-employer to an employer type business does change the dynamics of Alicia's journey. She can look at, she's been looking at non-employer data, and it gives her a sense of the growth potential for her current business. But it really doesn't give her any information in terms of the right time to expand. County business pattern data can provide insights into the size of similar establishments and the number of people employed by these similar businesses. To look at county business patterns, we're going to start where we left off. Her non-employer data, the code and the geography are still on the tool, so we are going to go to the filters on the left-hand side, and we're changing the data source from non-employer, so that topic has to come out, and also her code, because now she is looking at businesses with employees. This 611 code comes out. The geography is still the same. She still wants to look at all the counties within Idaho. So we scroll down to our survey area, come down to economic surveys, and click on business patterns, and final selection, county business patterns. And it's locked in for her. So now we go and explore her NAICS code. So she'll go into industry codes, and now that the code has changed from 611 to 71, we're going to explore the 6-digit data that's available. So we click on 71, and it will take you through several selections. Again, we don't want all of the final selections. And we go into the amusement, gambling, and recreation industries. And with that, we can explore further in the other categories because it is under recreation. And we can see here different, selections that are available. And the closest one is fitness and recreation, sports centers. Keep going, and we have another selection to go through, and here's our final for the fitness and recreation sports center. So it is locked in. So she has her 3 points to get at her data. We can automatically, it's showing a little bit of data on the right-hand side, but we need to close these panels out. And again, there are 11 tables that she will need to go through, and all of these will go through 2012. But we want to go back to the most current. It is highlighted, so we can go ahead and close that off to get a full view of the data table. Across the top, you are looking, or she will be looking at the number of establishments by county. And because she will be hiring 1 or 2 instructors, the annual payroll will be very important for her to look at, as well as the first quarter and the number of employees by business. The ends on these columns, again, we are adhering to that privacy guideline. So we have to have more than 3 in order for the data to appear. But we still have enough here that Alicia can look through and study. So again, we have 44 counties scrolling down that have a lot of data that you might want to showcase in different areas. And she is interested in the payroll because that is what she is going to be a driver in terms of her hiring people. So she can use the mapping icon to filter her results. And sometimes it gets tweaky like this. If that happens, not a problem. You can come up to the layers icon, open that up and select the county because she is looking at county data. So here we have the 44 counties ranked, okay? And she wants to, but it defaults, I should say, to the number of establishments. She wants to look at payroll. So we can go over to the right, the left side, drop down and select that particular variable, annual payroll. And the map will redraw. And now she has a better visual of where the payroll ranks in the county from the highest in Ada, okay, to those that may be less in the payroll numbers. Okay. So she can download this and change the variables for whatever other number of employees if she so wishes. Various ways that you can manipulate this map. Getting back to her table, she will click on the table icon. You will see the data on the side. Click on the full data table. And again, she can sort these out by clicking and going top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever way she would like to view the data, and do it in sections if she wants. Go for the top 4 or the less. One thing that she can use is with the mapping feature. Again, let's look at the layer and the county. She can look at the classes, okay, to help her filter out these 44 counties. So clicking on the classes, there are 5 different classes that she can look at, and clicking on the little carrots, she can narrow it down to the top 3, or she can leave it at the top 5 and go from there. If she so wants, she could also change those numbers by using the quantile, equal intervals, or entering her own numbers down here. And if she so wants, she can set the numbers based on the scrollable, okay, feature that's available. With this, we can go and look at her selections, which change the viewer, and then come back to the table full. And then from here, she can, again, use the, not the print option, the download to Excel to download the data set that she will be studying. And she can follow the same steps to look at all the other tables by coming back to your results and doing the same thing for 2020 or 2019, whichever or how far back she would like to look at. Okay.
Okay. So like the NES visualization tool, the CBP visualization tool offers a quick and easy way to view the data and is another great option for Alicia to use as she explores CBP data. You can select the state or county that you're interested in, as well as the level of NAICS detail and the data variable that you need.
So with the economic data gathered from the U.S. Census Bureau, Alicia is able to make informed business decisions for expanding her business as a non-employer, yoga instructor, okay, with NES data, or by opening up a yoga studio with paid employees based on county business pattern data. but she learns of other resources and additional data products that expand her business search.
Okay. If you plan on accessing NES or CBP data, I would strongly suggest looking through the data user guides that we have for both programs. These can be found on the NES or CBP pages on the Census website in the Guidance for Data Users section. It provides useful definitions as well as information on accessing and downloading the data. Again, there's also a methodology section on both the CBP and NES pages with technical information and different reference files that are very helpful. If you're interested in more than just economic data, the census has tools that incorporate economic and demographic data. My Community Explorer is an interactive map-based tool that highlights demographic and socioeconomic data that measure inequality and is designed to help users identify underserved communities. It incorporates data from CBP and NES, as well as the American Community Survey and Community Resilience Estimates. Census Business Builder is another map-based tool. This one provides easy access to information about potential customers and similar businesses for those starting or planning a business. It also includes demographic data from the American Community Survey, as well as a huge variety of economic data, including CBP and NES, the Economic Census, Building Permit Survey, the Quarterly Census of Employment and Wages from the BLS, and much more. If you want more information about these tools, the next webinar in this webinar series is Storytelling with Census Business Builder on May 9th. And in September, we have Navigating My Community Explorer.
Alicia could further her research and explore demographic business data products by using the Annual Business Survey, or the ABS, as well as the American Community Survey for demographics, characteristics of her market area, or the ACS.
Okay. And finally, for anyone with a programming background, there is an API, or Application Programming Interface, which is a data service that enables software developers to access and use Census Bureau data within their applications. With this, you can access raw statistical data and create custom queries and format data for your specific needs. Okay.
All right, so if there are any questions, would like to take them now.
Ileana, I do have one from Alonzo. What are the benefits for small businesses? If you could describe the difference or delineation relating to non-employers, or Kaylin?
For small businesses, you definitely can find value in looking at your competitors, businesses of the same industry or the subsector, and also the same size. Those that are successful might have higher annual payrolls with less employees, or conversely, have a lot of employees with a higher payroll. So there's a lot of data that can be used to look at and compare. I wouldn't say compare, but just look at the functions of the business.
And another follow-up, is NES available for up to 3-digit NAICS codes?
I believe in the example that Alicia walked us through is at the 3-digit NAICS level.
And Eric, the slides will be available in a few weeks' time, including a transcript, and that'll be available at census.gov.
Okay, I'd like to, for the moment, just share a little recap of what we walked through today with Alicia. So with the NAICS exploration, what is NAICS and is there an easy way for Alicia to locate her codes? And yes, Alicia did explore the webpage, the NAICS webpage, and she looked at various ways to identify both her non-employer NAICS and her business venture NAICS. And then what NES data does Alicia find? Well, she finds the number of establishments and total receipts at the county level and downloads the data for her concentrated study. So how does Alicia narrow her choices using county business data? Well, she looks at the number of establishments and payroll data from the county business data that is useful to her in kind of getting a sense for how much she's going to need in order to pay her employees. And is it a good time to expand? All right, well, Alicia has additional business data to look at, and her journey's just beginning. So the journey continues. Do we have any other questions?
I just want to answer one for Teresa. Teresa, you can stay aware and abreast of census webinars at Census.gov. At the bottom, you can sign up for our listserv, but also at the Census Academy, we have a data dissemination and training branch where you can catch all of our recorded webinars and any upcoming webinars. So please Google the Census Academy and sign up for our listserv for any upcoming webinars. Thank you, Teresa.
Okay, I believe that's all the questions. If you could place your contact slide up so that the audience can view that, please.
Kaylin?
Thank you. And thank you so much, Ileana and Kaylin, for your great presentation. Before we conclude, I would like to thank everyone who played a role in today's webinar. We thank you, our audience, for spending your time with us this afternoon. And we are very interested in hearing from you on how we are doing. So please take a moment to fill out the evaluation that will appear when you exit the webinar. And look out for the recording, presentation, and related materials from this webinar on the Census Academy by visiting census.gov/academy within 30 business days. Please check out the Census Academy for additional training resources and to register for upcoming webinars. That brings us to a close. We thank you again for joining us today and hope you have a great afternoon.
That concludes today's session. You may disconnect at this time.